Mike Gill, State of Corruption. What an important update. You see, we're getting close. These most recent videos are moves on a chessboard. Not only am I showing you evidence, but I'm showing you who received the evidence, such as the FBI, such as the IRS. I am backing them into a corner. This is what's going on now. AG Barr, there is an investigation going on. It involves the deep state, which is really what I've always called it, was an organization of corruption that exists in each and every one of our states and is protected by the FBI. And then also the extortion arm of this network of corruption is the IRS, which is why today I'm showing you an email, 2 emails, one that goes to the IRS, one goes to the FBI. Every day, to every FBI office in this country, which there are 56, to the IRS, to the Commissioner Riddick, to the taxpayer advocate head, Nina Olson, you will see their email. What we're doing is contagion. This is what we're doing. In this investigation of the deep state, of this corruption, of the IRS, there's going to be a question that has to be answered. How is it that you had all this evidence? And again, I'll go over some of this evidence and the impact of this evidence. And the FBI, you didn't do anything. The IRS, you covered up. You both covered up. There's the contagion. There's the depth of the corruption, which is why the IRS is guilty of extortion and the FBI are guilty of treason. I want you to understand something. The FBI office in Boston is the most influential, the most corrupt FBI office in this country. They just don't represent Massachusetts. They represent Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. These are all entities that suffer under this umbrella of corruption. And the head of this network is Bill Shaheen, whose senator is Senator Jeanne Shaheen.
The Boston division of the FBI is expansive beyond the city and even the state of Massachusetts. New special agent in charge, Joseph Bonavolanta, is actually also in charge of Maine, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island.
Now I want you to listen just for a second. City on the Hill. City on the Hill? It's a new series on Showtime. I heard a commercial. Boston FBI, most corrupt law enforcement entity in this country. Really? Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, you want a series? I'll give you a series. But who has been telling you this? Special agent in charge, Joseph Bonavolenta. Now think about this. This is the head cop. It goes through that special agent for all those states. That guy has been getting my evidence for years, and the evidence that I'm going to show you now. That's part of the cover-up. Now think about this. I'm going to show you a recent arrest. Somersworth Pain Clinic, an assistant physician, fentanyl. A physician assistant? How low level do you want to get? Somersworth, isn't that one of the pain clinic chains that I've given you? FBI? Special agent? They had 10. Who's the agent for them? Meaning the lawyer. Well, geez, that's Bill Shaheen. Who's the lobbyist for them? That's Bill Shaheen too. I'm going to show you a picture of Senator Jeanne Shaheen. She wants to get reelected. She's fighting opioids. And her husband is getting paid for the opioid industry as a lobbyist. You know how obscene that is? You know how corrupt that is? That's what I'm talking about. And you didn't act on that evidence, FBI. So let's just go. Now, here's the email. All right? I'm going to go quickly through both emails. But you have to be a witness. This is part of the exposure. This is the actual email that the FBI in 56 offices across this country is going to get on a daily basis. You're not going to say you didn't know. The American people, the public, are going to know that you've got this information. I started the email by saying, first, the FBI, U.S. Attorney Lullet, who prosecutes the cases for the FBI, for all those states, you've got a $50 million settlement offer. Right. From Morrison Mahoney, who acted fraudulently, representing me, protecting this organization of corruption. You also have their releases that include the IRS, include Bill Shaheen, includes the banking department, so which in each state is the launderer and the protector of the money of the corrupt and the drug cartels, which is why they guard that with their life. And the first meeting that I had to expose it was the first time they tried to kill me. That's how important that is. And that's the information that you have, FBI. All right? So you have all the accountants, you have all their lawyers. You turn around the method of putting these judges in place. Shaheen's wife was previously the governor, as was Hassan. They appoint those judges, their judges, those judges that are corrupt. That's the network of controlling our courts. You have the corruption in our courts. You have their names. You have their witnesses, FBI. I turned around as far as the drugs. I gave you the largest drug cartel in this country. Distribution throughout this country, from the airport to trucking, through the largest automobile dealership in New England, but all in transportation of these drugs. Dick Aganos is the head of that cartel. You have that information. I had over 56. I had 56 witnesses for the trial. I had close to 100. These people, these witnesses, 5 of them were state troopers. State troopers, and you can see on this that these state troopers come out and told me about roadblocks, how they stopped Aganos, how they busted him in his house with $275,000 in cash, pounds of cocaine, right, with a gun. They got an arrest warrant, went to St. Mary's Credit Union, one of the credit unions he controls, along with Granite State and his own bank, Primary Bank, which was the only bank that opened over an 8-year period of time across this country. I'll put a little article out. Griner, who was his launderer. Now think about this. After Dodd-Frank in 2008, that's the only bank. It's because it is a drug bank, and the Banking Commission's protecting them. Listen, Commissioner Little will turn in a New York second. Give them all up. This isn't hard. The containment is the trick. Once you're in this, it comes apart. All right, now let's think about this too. So you have that information. You have that information about the banking department. You have the information with those releases that includes the banking department, the Department of Revenue. The problem the FBI has now, and I've given them this information also, and you can see it. It involves and incriminates the FBI themselves. Shaheen used to be a U.S. attorney, and his partner Gordon was the assistant U.S. attorney. You understand now? They prosecuted cases for the FBI. There's your connection to the FBI. That's part of the corruption. Listen, who gave Whitey Bulger in Boston immunity but the U.S. attorney? At the same time as what Shaheen gave immunity, criminal immunity, and thereafter for the next 30 years to Aganos. So the answer is, what would happen to Whitey Bulger if he went unchecked? He'd own and run an empire in the billions, owning hospitals, treatment centers, pharmacies, hospice care, which is exactly what Aganos has done. He's even gone further. He is the largest developer in the state of New Hampshire. Stella Arms, one of the biggest apartment complexes, only got busted in the middle of building it as the largest cocaine bust in the history of the state. That's funny. When I gave the information to the DEA and say Aganos was selling fentanyl, we come up with the tractor trailer full of it, which was the largest volume bust in the history of this country. Enough fentanyl, to kill everybody. Aganos's project. You see in the article, I'll post it. And you know what it says? Geez, are you kidding me? No, we're not kidding, Dick. That ties you into the largest cocaine bust and fentanyl bust in the history of this state, and the fentanyl, the history of this country. FBI, you have that, right? And you've been protecting it. Mark Hassenbecker, FBI agent in Bedford, again in Bedford, acted with my employees. The FBI corrupted my paralegals. Aaron Day, Eileen Land. My campaign manager, Aaron Day, my co-defendant who came to me with this evidence, along with Micah Specky, the town manager of Bedford, and turned around and says, Micah Specky's son got arrested with Aganos' son, with a truck full of fentanyl machine guns coming out of the airport. Bedford police released him just like that. Really? Now Micah Specky, now the town manager of Bedford, turns around and goes, they're going to kill my son. I know who he is. And then I've had 5 or 6 meetings with Micah Specky. And not just alone, always with Aaron Day. And say, for instance, like Congressman Ginter, standing Congressman Ginter at the time. They all know. 2 state senators were witnesses. One said in front of 8 witnesses, Aganos has been a drug dealer for over 30 years. They all know. Just like we're putting a new series on Showtime saying FBI in Boston is the most corrupt. They all know. I've been telling you these for over 10 years. It's a good thing I put it on video. You wouldn't believe I've been telling you, which is why I put it on video. Okay? Now, Special Agent, you have this information. So does Lullen. Now think about this. I go on about other cases with the state police. They say Aganos is the biggest real estate holder. He started with a small real estate company. He killed his real estate partner, according to the state police, who also busted the real estate office with cocaine in the safe and guns. And then his partner disappears. I also have another state trooper with a judge, with a prosecutor, who arrested him coming out of an airplane with a suitcase full of cocaine. Now I remember now. Now Bedford had all this information. DEA, Bedford FBI. Do you know where they wanted to move El Chapo? To Bedford, New Hampshire. You know, Bedford, New Hampshire has 21,000 people live in it. Why is it that every entity that I reported this cartel to, state police, DEA, drug task force, always sent me back to the same police department in Bedford, ran by a guy named Bryanski, who was only at one point the head of the DEA Mid-Atlantic region with over 300 agents. Now, why did he go to a state like New Hampshire? Why did he go to a town for 21,000 people and become its police chief? Now, FBI, you have that. That's the operation of this corruption that involves you. U.S. Attorney Kakavas is part of this cartel. That's why they moved him to the Dartmouth Hospital. That's why they moved Alex Walker to the Manchester Medical Center. That's why Aganos owns the Elliott Hospital. Because the drugs, just like they were coming out of this pain clinic, are coming out of these hospitals. You understand? Now the FBI has all this information. That's what these email goes over. And this email, again, is going to every FBI office. I don't want to forget about the IRS. Senator Jeanne Shaheen's been cited several times targeting enemies with the IRS. Well, trust me, I am an enemy. The IRS, we have them on tape. We have a plant in his office That was the criminal division of the IRS. That was the agent, Tom Worley, I worked for 4 years, giving this corruption. It was supposed to be the biggest case of corruption in the history of the IRS.
Good times, Tim. This is going to be your case. I had to call him, Chris, and I'm going to tell him, like, we have a plan. We have an undercover here.
Except for the IRS was all bogus. It was a fake undercover operation. They were covering up. They expected me to take the $50 million, which is why the IRS is also on the releases. You hear them on tape. You see the mail going to an accountant named Curtis Morley. You know, Tom Morley, Curtis Morley. That's how corrupt this is. Now, I want you to understand something. By getting the IRS, not only do you prove extortion, but you get Senator Jeanne Shaheen, who's a ranking member of this deep state. The largest drug cartel in this country loses its protection. This network of corrupt judges gets exposed and opened up. And our issue with the FBI, an issue that goes across this country, this is federal, gets exposed at the highest level. The most important FBI office in this country, Boston, the most powerful, gets exposed. I want to finish by saying this. You know how I know we're getting close? Because my children are getting threatened again. My son Michael had 2 pigeons tied to his doorknob. My house had a pigeon stuffed into the mailbox. Is that supposed to be I'm some kind of stool pigeon? Listen, let's get this straight. We're in a war. The American people are fighting for justice and freedom. Stool pigeon? My purpose is to put you in jail. Have you pay for your crimes against the people of this country? The FBI? My intent is to have you tried for treason. This is a war. We're fighting for justice and freedom. Is there a more important thing to fight for as for the future of our children? So these emails will be attached. These emails will be delivered every day to the IRS, to Riddick, Commissioner Riddick, to taxpayer advocate Olson. And you'll see a list of other IRS executives. You're all going to get a copy. You're all going to get a daily. And those 56 offices of the FBI in this investigation, because I've also sent it to U.S. Attorney Durham, all this evidence. You're investigating the deep state, Mr. Durham? Well, I just gave you the deep state. I gave you how they operate, how they cover up, how they extort. It's all there. Mike Gill, State of Corruption.